Welcome back to another Heavy Gear Blitz battle report. Today we'll be fighting it out in the Badlands with a 75 TV point lists. It'll be Peace River on that side versus Nucoal on this side. So with that, we'll go ahead and take a look at the lists and the objectives. Alright, for the Nucoal list we have 2 Cuirassier long gunners. This one is the commanding officer, and he is upgraded with a CV. And then we have 2 Cuirassier grenadiers. And then for group 2, we have 2 chasseurs, regular chasseurs. The group leader is upgraded with CV. And then we have 2 flechette chasseurs. And then the objectives, we took hold, which will be this objective and this objective. And then the second objective that I took is wipe them out, which the target is the Warriors group. So with that, we'll go ahead and take a look at Peace River. Alright, and here's the Peace River list. We have a group of Warrior 4s, 2 are just regular Warrior 4s, and then we have 2 Sweeper Warrior 4s right here on the left, and that one there in the front is the commanding officer. He's been upgraded with Spectre and Chieftain. And then over here we have 2 Vanguard Warriors and 2 Scourge Warriors. And then the combat or the group leader has been upgraded with Spectre and Chieftain as well. And then the objectives we took, or she took for these, are wipe them out, which my chasseurs are the target, and then claim. And then she chose this side of the board lengthwise for the claim objective. So with that, we'll go ahead and do deployment and begin the battle. Alright, we have now deployed. I have my Cuirassiers over here on the left with my chasseurs, both shotguns. And then we have 2 of the regular chasseurs here on the right, followed by the other Cuirassiers on the right. And then for Peace River, 2 of her Warrior 4s airdropped over here on her left. One of them took a damage, followed by the regular Warriors behind them. And then on her right, the other Warrior 4s airdropped. Another one also took another damage. And then the last Warriors in the back there. So with that, we'll go ahead and start initiative and begin the battle. It's a 5 for me, 3 for Peace River, so that'll be Nucoal's activation. I'm gonna have to think about what I'll do. Alright, my Cuirassier Grenadier went combat speed forward and is gonna fire into this Warrior 4 here. I'm using Blast, giving me 3 dice, and then I'm not in suboptimal range, so I lose a die. So I'm rolling 2 dice versus her 2. She spent her reaction to take evade. So needing 3s. Ooh, that's a 7. And that's a 5, 6. So That's a success, a margin of success by 1. Plus damage 6 for a total, or no, damage 7 for a total of 8 damage. What is your armor?
It's 7.
7. So you take 1 damage.
Okay.
And then we'll move on to the next one. Alright, correction. She didn't roll her evade, so she's going to do that now on the 3 that she rolled. And that's a 2, that's a worse. So she takes 2 damage instead.
Okay.
Maybe you should have just left it. Alright, moving on. Alright, next up my long gunner went combat speed forward and is going to fire into that wounded warrior 4 as well. And I have precise. So target number or gunnery skill is 3. So that's a 6. Then plus 1 with precise is a 7. And ooh, you got a 6 and a 7 as well. So that is a margin of success of 0. I don't have any AP, I don't think. No. Alright, so that misses. Moving on. Alright, next up my long gunner went combat speed forward towards this objective and is going to fire into the wounded combat leader, combat officer. And then she is going to retaliate with her reaction. So this will be 3s with precise, so again a 7, and that is a 5, so margin of success of 2, plus 8, so that's 10 damage. What's the armor? 7?
Yep, 7.
So that's 3 damage.
Oh no.
Alright, and that'll bring you to 4.
He's out of his hole.
He's crippled.
Yeah.
Alright. And then you'll retaliate. This will be 1 dice now.
Okay.
And you took the AP2 precise. That's a 5. Now 4 becoming a 5, which is a 0 margin success. So, what's the damage?
6.
6 versus my armor of 7. With the AP2, I think I'd take 1 damage. I'll have to double check. Alright, margin of success of 0 with AP2. I take 1 point of damage. And then moving on, this Cuirassier moved combat speed forward and is going to fire into that crippled commanding officer again. I'm in suboptimal range, but I did take burst, so I'll be rolling 2 dice versus her 1, and I need 3s. That's a 6, 7.
I got a 6.
Versus a 6. Margin of success of 0 or 1. Plus 7, so 8 armor of 7.
Yep.
So you take 1 more point of damage. Alright, and then that is the last of my combat group. So with that, we move on to Peace River's turn. Alright, Peace River activated their Warrior 4s. This one's going to do a combat speed forward, and it's going to shoot into my wounded chassis or Cuirassier. So, and then she's using burst. She needs 3s. That's a 5 for me. And a 5, 6 for her. So margin success of 1. Weapon damage.
6.
6. So 7. Armor is 7 as well. So it'll be 0 damage. Unless it has AP. I don't think it does.
No AP.
Alright. Moving on. Alright, lastly, this Warrior 4 moves forward. Combat speed is going to fire into my Grenadier. And she is using burst for this one as well. Target gunnery pilot skill 3. So that's a 5 for me. And a 3 for her, so that is a miss. Also, my Grenadiers have multiple traits. It does not choose, so we will be correcting that as we go forward. So with that, that's the end of her group activation, and we'll move on to Nucoal's activation. Alright, for Nucoal's activation, I activated a Chasseur, which did a combat speed movement forward, and we're going to fire burst into her combat leader. So I need 4s, so she will need 3s.
Just one die, right?
Yep.
Oh, my goodness.
So that's a 6, 7, 8
6.
versus a 6. So that's a 2 plus 6 is 8. Armor 7.
Yeah.
Alright, so you take 1 point of damage. Bringing you to 6, and I think it's dead, right? Mm-hmm. Alright, that combat leader, that model is destroyed. And we'll move on to the next model. Alright, Chasseur does a top speed movement forward behind this rock to get in range of the Scourge, and we're going to fire into that one. And we're using burst, so it would be 3 dice, but because it went top speed, I lose 1. Versus her 2. That is a 6, 7, and a 5 for her.
Wouldn't it be a 5, 6?
Nope, because those are gunnery skill 4.
Oh.
So it's a margin success of 2 plus 6, so it's a total of 8. What is the armor? I believe it's a 6.
Yeah, for the Scourge Warriors.
Alright, take 2 damage on that guy.
Oof.
And I'll move on to my last 2 models over here on the left flank. Alright, Chasseur Flashette does a combat speed movement forward and is going to fire a frag round into this Warrior 4 here. So this will be 4 dice, needing 4s. So that's a 5, 6. And a 3 for her. So that's a margin 6 of 3.
My goodness.
Plus 6, that's 9 versus 7.
7 armor.
Yep, so you take 2 more damage. And you were crippled. Off to a good start for Nucoal. Alright, moving on to my last one. Alright, this Chasseur Flashette does a top speed movement in this direction and is going to fire into the Scourge using the frag round. So my 4 dice becomes 2 because of I am in suboptimal range and it went top speed. So needing 4s. That's a 5 versus her 4. So that's a margin success of 1 plus 6, so 7. Armor of 6. Take 1 damage. And then that is the last of Nucoal's activations. And we'll move on to Peace River. Alright, Peace River activation. She activates the Scourge, which does a combat speed forward and is going to fire into my Chasseur. I have top speed, so I get 3 dice. She has AP1 and burst. So she has 3 dice as well. Both target numbers are 4. Oof. I'm going to spend a CP to re-roll. You got what? 6? Let me double check if I roll 1 dice or just all of them. Alright, spending a CP to re-roll all 3 of my dice. And that's still a failure. Alright, that's 6 for her, plus the damage of?
7.
7, so that's 13 damage versus armor 6. So that'll take 7 damage to me. That is destroyed. And I believe it explodes. Alright, it's good stuff. Moving on. Alright, next up, Warrior Vanguard does combat speed forward and is going to fire into my Grenadier over here. And she's taking precise. I need 3s. That's a 3. She needs 4s. Ooh, that's a 6, 7, 8 with precise. So margin success of 5 damage.
7.
12. 12 damage versus, okay, 7. Oh, so 5 damage. Oof. Alright.
That's a good hit right there.
Crippled, for sure. Alright, moving on. Alright, Scourge does a combat speed forward, and it's going to fire into my flechette, which did top speed, so 3 dice. I need 4s. That's a 4. She needs 4s as well.
5.
So that's a 6.
Oh, 6.
Did you have, what did you have? You had burst and AP1?
Yes.
Okay, so that's a margin success of 2 plus damage of 7.
Yes.
So 9 minus 6, so 3 damage.
Not bad.
That's pretty good. I am crippled. Alright, moving on. Alright, Warrior Vanguard moves forward just a little bit just to get an optimal range, and it's going to fire into my flechette here using Precise. That's a 5 for me, and a 4 becomes a 5, which is a 0 AP on that. I think you had to choose, right?
There's no AP.
No AP? Alright, so that is a miss. And with that, we end round 1. Alright, round 2, let's roll for initiative. That's a 4 and a 5 for a Peace River activation first. Alright, Peace River decided to activate the Warrior 4s first. So, and she's activating this one, which is bracing, and then firing into my Chasseur Flechette with Precise.
Yes.
That would be 2 dice versus my 2. I need 4s, she needs 3s. That's a 4. A 5, 6, 7. So that's 3 plus damage.
My damage is 6.
Alright, so 9 minus 6, I take 3 damage. And I am crippled. Alright, moving on. Alright, next up, this Warrior 4 is bracing, and then taking Precise.
Yes.
Alright.
And I have AP too.
And firing into my Grenadier. Or no, you're firing into the Chasseur, which is crippled, and I'm taking my evade reaction.
Okay.
So I need 4. Re-rolling. That'll do. She needs 3s. It's a 5, and you took Precise, right?
Yes.
So 6. Did you have AP on that?
AP 2.
AP 2. So you margin success of 0. You take 1 damage. Alright. Moving on. Alright, last Warrior 4 does a combat speed forward, and is going to fire into my crippled Grenadier. You're taking Precise.
Yes.
Alright. And then I'm going to use my reaction to evade. Needing a 3. A 5, I'll keep that. And that's a 4. Becoming a 5. So that's 0. Did you have AP on that?
No AP.
No AP? Alright, it's a miss. Alright, and that ends Peace River's activation. Moving on to Nucoal. Alright, I am activating the Cuirassier group. So my Grenadier does combat speed forward and is going to fire into her Scourge with burst. So I need 3s. That's a 4, 5.
I need 4s.
Yep, so that's a 6. That misses. Yep, that misses, unfortunately. Alright, moving on. Alright, next up, my long gunner is going to brace and fire into this Scourge as well. So 3 dice, hitting 3s with Precise. So that is just a 5. And that is a 5, 6. Alright, another miss. Moving on. Alright, lastly, my long gunner does a combat speed forward and is going to fire into her Vanguard. So 3s with precise. So that's a 6, 7, 8 versus 5, 6. Largest success of 2 plus 8. So that's 10 damage versus armor 6. You take 4 damage.
Oof.
That Vanguard is crippled. Then move on to Peace River's activation. Alright, Peace River activation. I'm going to activate the Vanguard Warrior, which is going to fire into my crippled flechette over here using precise. I need 4s. I got it.
I need 4s as well.
Yep, and that's a 3 and a 1, so that misses.
So 4.
No. It only applies if you reach your gunnery skill.
Oh.
Alright, moving on. Next up, the Scourge isn't going to move. It's just going to fire into my crippled flechette. I will evade on this one for my reaction. So, need net 4. Rerolling. A 5. And then she... 6, 7, 8. So that's 3 plus damage.
7.
So 10 damage. So I take 4. That one is destroyed. Alright. It is a wreck. Moving on. Next up, this Scourge Warrior deals a combat speed forward and it's going to fire into my chasseur. So, and then it is burst and AP 1. Needing 4s. Got a 5. And that is a 4 for you, so that misses completely. Next die, or next model. Alright, last Warrior Vanguard is going to brace and burst fire into my long gunner. She needs 4s, I will need 3s. That's a 3. And that is a 5 for her. Largest success of 2. Plus damage.
My damage is 7.
7. And I take 2 damage.
Is he...
He is crippled. Alright. And then we move on to Nucoal's activation. Alright, my only activation is the chasseur, which goes into melee range of the Vanguard. And we're gonna, and I get a rear attack, so I get a +1 die. This will be 4s to hit versus your 4. And there we go, just a 4. And 5, 6, so that misses completely. Alright, and then that ends both our activations as we move to round 3. Alright, round 3 initiative roll. It's a 4 for me, and a 5 for Peace River, getting the first group activation. Alright, Peace River activation. She's activated her Warrior 4s group, starting with this one right here, which is going to turn around and face my chasseur. And close combat, so I need 4s, she needs 3s. It's a 6 and a 5 for you, so that's a miss. Moving on.
Okay.
Alright, next up, this Warrior 4 will brace and then fire into my crippled cuirassier or chasseur. And she's using what? Precise and AP 1?
AP 2.
AP 2. Alright. I need 4s. Got 1. And that's all a miss. You can spend your command point.
Okay.
Alright, go ahead and reroll. That's a 5, that'll do it.
6.
So, largest success of 1 plus damage.
Damage is 6.
So 7, I take 1 damage. Bam. Alright, moving on to the crippled one next. Alright, next up, this Warrior 4 is going to burst fire into my crippled chasseur. Needing a 4. Got a 6. And then she needs 3s. 5, 6. AP, nothing.
Nothing for AP.
Marty's excessive 0. It misses. Alright. And then with that, we go on to Nucoal's turn. Alright, for Nucoal, I'm activating the Cuirassiers. So this one does a combat speed towards the objective. And then I'm going to fire into the Scourge with Burst. And AP 1. Needing 3s. That's a 5. And she'll need 4s. Got a 6. That misses, yep. Alright. Moving on. Alright, next up my long gunner is gonna brace and fire into her vanguard over here. So this is precise, so I need 3s. That is a 5, 6, 7.
Alright. I need 4s.
6, 7 as well.
Ooh.
Yep. That's a 0. Miss. Man, you got lucky there. Alright, moving on. Alright, next up, this long gunner is going to brace and fire at this crippled vanguard. Need 3s. With precise, so that's a 6.
Give me a 6.
And it's a 1. Ooh, yeah, that one's gone. And that one is destroyed. I think it explodes, actually. Alright. And then we move on to the Grenadier, being the last one. Alright, and lastly, the Grenadier moves forward towards the objective and is going to fire an indirect shot into the Scourge right here by the rock. Into 3. No. I'm going to spend my CP. Got a 6.
I need 4.
5, 6. I think I have AP 1. I do. So you take 1 damage.
Okay, I am not crippled yet, I think.
You're crippled. Brings you to 3. Alright, and then that's all of my group activation. Moving on to Peace River. Alright, she's going to activate her Scourge, who is not crippled. They are crippled on 4 damage. And it did combat speed, and then it's going to fire into my crippled long gunner here, who did go brace. So, need 3. I got 5.
I need 4s.
Nothing. Alright, moving on.
Okay.
Alright, next up, this Scourge is going to brace and fire into my Grenadier up here. So, I will need 3s, she'll need 4s. That's a 4, 5 for me. And 5, 6, 7. Marty's F's of 2. Plus damage of 7.
7 damage, yep.
9. So I take 2 damage. Alright. And we'll move on to her last Vanguard model. Alright, lastly the Vanguard moves forward and then is going to fire with precise into my long gunner who was braced, so I'll be rolling 1 die. Needing a 3. Got it. 5. Versus a 5, 6. Marty's precise brings it to 7. So 2 plus damage.
7.
7, 8, 9. So I take 2 damage to that long gunner. Alright, and then we move on to my Chasseurs group. Alright, gonna activate the Flechette, which is gonna brace, and then fire a frag round into the Vanguard here. So I would have 3 dice, but I lose 1 because I'm not in optimal range. So, needing 4s, 5, 6. And 6, 7. That is a miss. As the Vanguard avoids damage. Alright, moving on. Alright, and lastly, my Chasseur here is going to brace and try and fight this Warrior 4 in close combat. So, needing 4s. 6, 7. Ooh. That's 7 plus.
My armor's 7.
Plus 7. So that's 14. You take 7 damage.
Oh, really?
And yeah, and that one explodes in a ball of fire. Alright. And that is the last activation as we move to round 4. Alright, start of round 4, initiative. That is a 3 for me. And Peace River gets activation once again. Alright, Peace River activates her Warrior Scourge first, which is going to fire into my Grenadier. It is bracing, and it's got frag, or burst. So 4 dice, hitting on 4s, and I'll be hitting on 3s, or dodging on 3s. That's a 4-5 for me. And that is 5, 6, 7, 8. So margin of success of 3 plus 7.
7 for damage, yep.
Alright, so I take 3 damage, bringing me to 5. I am crippled, but still standing. Alright, moving on to the next one. Alright, next up, this Vanguard is going to brace and then use a precise trait to fire into my Grenadier as well. And then I'm going to evade as my reaction. So I need 3s, it's a 2, re-rolling, and that's a 1. And, oh, that's...
No, I want to use my command.
Using your command point?
Yeah.
Okay. Six and 7, which will annihilate that Grenadier. Alright. Moving on. Alright, lastly, this Scourge Warrior is gonna top speed out behind the rock and then fire into my crippled Grenadier, which I will be using my evade reaction for this one. So, needing a 3. Got it. I'm gonna keep that. And that is a 4.
Just a 4.
Just a 4. That misses. Yeah. Alright. And then on to Nucoal's activation. Alright, and I've decided to activate my Chasseurs. And so he's a combat speed forward, and then he's going to do a frag round into the Vanguard. So I need 4s. Nothing. I'm going to spin my CP. Get a 5. And that's a 5, 6. Yeah, that misses. Alright. Moving on to the next one. Alright, next up, my Chasseur is going to turn around, brace, and fire a precise round into her Scourge. Needing 4s. That's a 5, 6, 7. There's a 6. Margin of success of 1 plus 6 damage. Take 1 damage. Not enough. Alright. Moving on. That is the last of my group. So, moving back to Peace River's turn. Alright, activating the Warrior 4. It does combat speed forward and is going to fire a frag round into my long gunner. Needing 3s. That's a 4. And that's a 4 for her as well. You don't have AP on that one, do you?
No, I don't.
Nope.
I took frag.
Alright, that misses. And then we go to her last Warrior 4. Alright, Warrior 4 braces and is going to fire a precise round into my long gunner. Need 3s. Got 5. And that's 6, 7, 8, 9 with precise. So that's a 4 margin of success plus the weapon damage.
7. 6, sorry.
6.
Yeah, with my warrior.
Okay, so that's 10. I take 3 damage. Bringing me to 5. I am crippled. That is unfortunate. Alright, and we move on to Nucoal's activation. Alright, Long Gunner, since he can't top speed it to that objective, he's just going to try and kill this Vanguard here. So we're going to brace. So 2 dice hitting on 3s with precise. That's 6, 7.
I need 4s.
6, 7 as well. I have no AP, so that misses. Moving on.
He is crippled.
And lastly, this Long Gunner is going to brace and fire into the crippled Scourge Warrior. So,
There's 1 dice for me, right?
yep, being 3s. It's a 6, 7, 8 with precise. There's a 4. That's 4. Martic success. Plus 8. So that's 12. 6 damage. That one is destroyed. Completely. It explodes. Alright. And then with that, it is the end of round 4. Calculating points. I have 1 CP for holding this objective. And then I got 1 CP for wipe them out. Taking out 2 of her warriors. And then I don't have that objective. And then for Peace River, she got wipe them out. Taking out 2 of my chasseurs for 1 victory point. And then she got, what is the other one called?
Claim, I think.
Claim, yep. Claim, she has got 2 units on that half of the board and 2 on this half, which is more than me. So that is an additional 2 victory points for a total of 3 victory points, Peace River, to 2 for Nucoal for a Peace River victory. Thanks for watching, guys.